on one of the religious programs that Jesus was possibly married to Mary Magdalene and had a child with her? When he was crucified, she went to France and arrived in France after being his disciple and being with him all the time, and she was pregnant, they said, and I guess she gave birth in France afterwards, and they claim that it was Jesus' child, and I never heard this growing up, and I didn't think his purpose was to come to earth to meet someone and be married or have a child. So it's really confusing, and I don't know if it's any truth to it or not. Thank you.
Well, Lois, thank you for the question, and there's a lot of things you will hear out there. Hopefully we're going to hear some things today that'll help us sort this out for all of us. Pastor Glaze, can you start us off?
Well, I would say that theology comes from Dan Brown's book, The Da Vinci Code. And, he talked about it. As a matter of fact, he quotes in the book, he said it's a matter of record that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were a pair. And then he said somewhere else, it's a part of the record that they were married. So, and this was a movie that was popular.
It's a novel.
Yeah, a novel and then a movie.
Yeah.
And so, people took their theology from this. And where did Dan Brown get it from? He got it from the Gospel of Philip, which actually was a false gospel, one of the Gnostic gospels that was written, hundreds of years after Christ had died. So you can't put any faith in that. And then, there are 11 references to Mary Magdalene in the New Testament, and not one time does it say she was married to Jesus. And then I look at, Paul in 1 Corinthians 9. He talked about his right to be married. He mentions the apostles, he mentions Peter, he even talks about the brother of Christ, but he didn't say that Christ was married. And then when you look at Jesus down on the cross, when he was down on the cross, what did he tell John? He said, take care of my mother. Well, Mary Magdalene was right there. God taught that your spouse is the most important person to you. So why wouldn't he say, look, man, watch out for my lady too, make sure you take care of my lady. And so, I would just say that there's no evidence in the New Testament that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were ever married. And again, it comes from movie, novel theology that's based on a Gnostic gospel. Yeah.
I told Elaine the other night, I said, you know what, I'm going to blow everybody's mind and say, yes, Jesus was married to the church. And he is going to be married to the church. He's the bridegroom. But no, he was never married to any woman here on earth.
Yeah, I think, is there anything we can add over here?
Well, Dan Brown, as Pastor Glaze mentioned, not only the Da Vinci Code, but the Golden Compass is the second book and movie, and there's several others. He intentionally said, I believe in an interview, that he sought to create sort of an allegorical myth like Tolkien in The Lord of the Rings, but intentionally anti-Christian. That was his goal. And so he makes up so much stuff. Even the New York Times called it, nonsense. He makes up so much garbage, and he distorts so much falsehood. I could mention a ton of things, but what he says about Constantine, false. Rosalind Chapel, false. Sarah's descendants, the Shekinah, not true. King's College, not true. Priory of Sion, not true. The Knights Templar, the Last Supper painting, when the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, what he says about the Opus Dei, the Cathars, it's all against the historical record. Yeah. So here we have either a deliberate liar or a very, very ignorant person, or somebody who's just trying to make some money and capitalizing on the fact that people don't really look up the facts.
And everybody needs to remember this was a novel, okay? It's a novel.
Well, and think about it. If Jesus had a son, think about that for a minute. You don't think one of the apostles would have took him up?
Yeah.
Or, somebody would have said, hey, this is the Messiah's son. We need to do something with him.
I'll be his godfather.
I think what you said about why would not Paul have mentioned that Jesus was married when he's going through this litany of do I not have the right to take a wife or something like that?
Yeah, right.
So I think that we can really lay that one to rest there. So